What do you think happens to a redhead in Jamaica?
It's not just a redhead, it's just a red everything, just like lobster.
Everything. Absolutely. That man's gonna come back and he's gonna have like he'll be peeling. He'll just be like you know how you ever get like sun poisoning where it's like black and you gotta peel it out. I've
had blisters.
Gotta be him.
It's gross.
It's like 2 weeks. 2 weeks in Jamaica for a redhead. That's bad news, man.
Broke just spending all his money on Santan lotion.
Yeah, and aloe.
Lots of aloe.
Welcome to Just the Tip, a fantasy football podcast with your tippers, Matt, Disfatt Bidge.
These are just our tips, so take them easy, take them hard. It's up to you.
Ryan, the Tagless Haynes.
Most bizarre Haynes brief that there's ever been.
And Matt, IR Regan.
Yeah, I hear you, and I definitely would take the shot on it because you'd be dumb not to.
Coming to you from the heart of New England. Get ready to take some tips.
Alrighty, boys and girls, welcome back to Just a Tip, a fantasy football podcast. As you see, we're missing one hombre over here, and he's living it up on a beach probably. But either way, this is our first episode of 2023, Ryan. Wow. And it started off pretty crazy. A little situation, a lot of changes, a lot of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to try to do it in the shortest amount of time possible, but there's a fair amount to cover here, week 18.
Yeah, and of course, we'll start off. I'm not going to talk about this a lot because I've heard know everyone's heard a lot about it. But Damar Hamlin, obviously, we're hoping for him, full recovery, so on. We've heard nothing but great news in the past 24 hours about him. Some weightlifting and weight off our minds, off our hearts in general for the past probably 12 hours of info that we've got from his situation. But like I said, we're not going to get into it. You can see everything about him pretty much everywhere. It's tough not to see it, but what a great feeling it's been of late, just getting some of this good news. And I know it's huge for the teams itself.
Yeah, Bell's made a statement today, encouraging news. Check it out. You can go on you can go on the Bell's website. You can go Bell's Mafia Twitter. You can go everywhere. You can find that information. So a lot has been said about the situation. Yep. It's our first time being on and being able to talk about it. And it was a horrific incident, and hopefully nothing like that happens again. I hope they get to the bottom of it. I don't know if it's like, the first thing I thought, Reeves, is like every player now has the tiniest equipment because they're trying to focus on like speed and agility.
Faster. Yeah.
And I don't know if this is like a shoulder pads were too small kind of thing. I just hope they get to the bottom of it so nobody has to experience that ever again. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. And we obviously don't know if there's anything that they can do, but if they were to actually look into something like this, I think that's huge. And I think they're going to be nudged to do that anyways. But needless to say, that game will not be played. It has been called, just not finished. We don't know if it's going to be considered a tie or a loss for the team or just null and void. Doesn't even mean anything. There's some news, Ryan, we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I can do that. The news I just got, though, officially no contest. So it's not a tie. It's not a loss. It's not a win. It's just didn't exist. It's not going to be there.
Whew. All right. So we'll just get right into it because of this situation. I know something unexpected, uncharted, regretful situation. There's really nothing we can do, but we're a fantasy football podcast. We have to talk about stuff like the outcome of some of these things. And with no disrespect or lack of concern for the situation, fantasy football championships were last week. And a lot of games, a lot of matchups really just, came to a halt that game. And there's a lot of what ifs and what should we do and so on and so forth. So I came up with a list of 5 ways to finalize your league or come out with a winner or whatever it may be. And these are just suggestions. My first comment is, remember, a lot of you guys are commissioners. you are the commissioner. It's your league. You will have the final say, but obviously you have to keep everyone happy. So, at least show that you care and have votes and stuff like that. So, but it is your league. Don't get bullied into something. Obviously the person that's going to be, looks like he's going to be losing or something like that is going to be a little bit more heated at you in general. But Ryan, I'll just list these 5 of what I was kind of thinking and tell me what you think. And I'm sure you might have had a situation that you can talk about it as well. But
absolutely.
To declare a winner or a tie or whatever it may be, first off, you have to start off by having those owners, number one, have those owners talk to each other. Maybe they can figure out themselves and you don't even have to get your feet wet. Maybe they decide, hey man, you smoked me, you won, or there was no way I was coming back, or we should just split it. Perfect. And number 2, there's a possibility you could use like the first reasonable game that these guys have. So they both are going to have a reasonable game this week. It sounds like Buffalo is definitely playing New England. Cincy is definitely playing Baltimore. You can take those players' stats that they get from these games. Baltimore and New England are pretty good defenses. So it's not like overwhelming, like playing Detroit or something like that. So you can take those stat lines and add them into your last scores. Just be sure to subtract the minimal scoring that they got that game before. They could obviously split the pot in general and then either or give one, like the one that's winning the title, or just declare no winner. What else do I have? One that I was thinking about using for mine was the average points per week or the projected points per week, and using those as the score for that player that week. And then the last one is, it's really just like do something completely different. Make it a pick'em challenge. I have one league that one team has 113 points. The other one has 112. One team, though, 113 has Stephon Diggs left, and the 112 team definitely should be winning, but you never know. But he has Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, and Buffalo's defense. So in my eyes, 90% of the time he is winning. But all right, what do you do a pick 'em week? Have them pick the games this week. They're going to be hard, just or a bet or something like that. Something out of the ordinary, kind of get it away from football. Ryan, what have you done, and what do you think about these ones?
Yeah, away from fantasy a bit. I like that idea, Reeks. I think my favorite one from this week, and I was in 2 championships. One, I was fortunate because they closed out Sunday night, and that was the end of it.
Nice.
The other one, not as fortunate. But yeah, I think what I'm looking at doing is using the stats from the games on Sunday. I think that still gives us something to watch. It still gives the player who's behind something to root for. Still gives them some level of hope. The matchups aren't overwhelmingly different, like you had mentioned. Like there's no significant like matchup from this week to last week, so that's good.
No advantages.
And it just gives you something to cheer for. I mean, that's what we were trying to do Monday night, and it was this very tragic thing that happened. And we just trying to like shift gears and keep everything on a positive trend and try to have something to cheer for. And I think that kind of goes along with the pick'em pool as well. Like do something that you can still have some competition, that you can still cheer for, get into the games, and have a more objective outcome.
Right. I like it. Yeah. So you're saying that you would just use this week's, their reasonable games that they're actually going to play, use their stat line, add them to the last score, correct?
Yeah. I think that's the way to go for me.
I think that, agreed. I really like that. I have a couple of them that I really don't know what I'm going to do. It's really going to be a vote system. They're so close. Like that one I just told you about. I had 2 situations where I was in 3rd place, and it was a shit show because I have like half my team left and I'm down by like 20. I'm like, I'm going to win, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm in the one league I'm in. I was up 3 points. The one that hasn't closed out, I was up by 3 points. He had Singletary. It's a league where you get 1/4 point per carry, and then everything else is pretty standard. But I'm like, Singletary needs like 8 carries for like 20 yards, and then he beats me, and that's it. And he's gonna get it because he's gonna add some catches. It's a PPR league as well. The dude was really great about it. Everybody's shown like tremendous flexibility. I think that's great. I think it's nice that you just have to communicate mainly with the championship contenders. So it limits like getting a vote from, 12 people to a vote from just 2 people and having a discussion via text or phone call or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the league it was like, what do you do? And I said, I was like, I raised the white flag. I'm like, this guy won. He beat me. We're both going to get paid out. It's a league where like 1 and 2 isn't that big of a difference. It's fine.
Okay.
But technically I'm the winner right now in sleeper, which
yeah,
I like that.
Mine hasn't been that easy. What's funny too is the money isn't the thing. It's the trophy. The trophy. It's a work league. The trophy goes on your desk. It's kind of a big deal. And the guys want the trophy, so it's just funny.
Yeah, so do something that's competitive this weekend and keep it light and whatever.
I like it.
It is what it is.
Right. There's not much, but we'll jump into some briefs.
Sweet sassy molassie.
Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on playoff scenarios, playoff picture. Obviously, a lot of this is what are they going to do if they cancel the game? We just found out that they're just scrapping the game, no contest. And the rumors from today, one thing that's kind of gaining steam is that they're going to use win percentage, which I thought naturally that was the way to go. And then if the teams that are playing in the AFC Championship were affected by this game being canceled, then they're going to go to a neutral site. So they're trying to figure out what the neutral site would be. It seems like that's the solution that's gaining the most momentum right now. But again, it's contingent on if those 2 teams were actually affected by the outcome. So if for example, the Chiefs go out, they lay an egg, they lose this weekend, Buffalo wins, they're going to hurdle them regardless.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to kind of figure that out. But
weigh it
Buffalo
out.
made it to the AFC Championship, they would play the championship game in Buffalo if that were the case, because that game did not necessarily affect the outcome. At least that's the way I see it. But people make more money to figure that out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, way above our pay grade. But no, that's good to know. And it looks like they should have that answer by this weekend.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like.
So that's huge, just to know beforehand going into the this week's matchups. But yeah, real quick brief. So let's jump right into the Hurt Locker, and we'll bang that out and get into the real DFS stuff. I could stop that like 7 seconds before Mac would. All right. We're getting into the Hurt Locker really quick. There's a lot of questionables, not a lot of like real set in stone injuries in general. So I'm going to read some to you guys. It's week 18. Be sure to make sure that your team, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but to see if your team actually they actually need to play, if they're actually going to be in there. There's a couple players like I got DeAndre Hopkins. They're out completely. They will not make the playoffs. DeAndre Hopkins, he's sitting. He has a knee injury, but he's not going to play. He doesn't have Kyler Murray. He's good. James Conner's another one. He's got a knee and shin injury, did not participate today. I would probably lean to him not playing as well. CMC. So this is kind of a different one. So CMC ankle, knee injury. They do have a little flexibility, I believe. Yes, they have a little bit of flexibility in moving up in the rankings, but what does that mean that much to them? And, he did not practice today, like I said. And Elijah Mitchell, I believe, has been practicing.
Yeah.
I do not believe he's been fully cleared off the IR. I think they can have up to the game to do so. Keep that in mind, but they might just bench CMC if they don't really need him this week, or if they're just not worried about moving up.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, they have a chance at the 1 seed, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, to have that bye week. So there's certainly motivation there. But if they feel confident in getting the job done with Elijah Mitchell and they think that they can give CMC some kind of rest week to recover and hope it pans out. Because, I mean, the Eagles have a pretty favorable matchup this week. Who are they playing? They're playing
Washington Giant? No.
The Giants. Okay.
Is it?
But the Giants are locked into the 6th seed. So they have no benefit whatsoever from winning this game. So I don't know how the Giants are going to approach this matchup, but if Jalen Hurts is back, Giants don't really have much to play for. Eagles have a lot to play for. Generally, we know what the outcome is going to be in that game. So the Niners might err on the side of caution in this one. But
I could see CMC dressing and his workload being very monitored. They also have Mason too, so they do have some backs. Josh Jacobs, another one. Ryan, I know you were talking about this before the pod. Hip and oblique injury. He is marked as questionable now. That's new info today, and they are eliminated. So
yes,
I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Contract year, right? Correct.
It's his contract year. If I were Josh Jacobs, I don't have anything to play for. Why am I going to risk a serious injury? I had the best season of my career. I'm coming up on my contract extension or signing or wherever I'm going, and why am I going to push through this? He's been fighting injuries for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play. I think the important thing this week is if you have a championship in week 18, if you have a matchup, if you're doing DFS, up until the game starts, you got to see who's playing. Because if anybody's nicked up a little bit and the game doesn't matter, they're probably not playing. So you could see some really unusual guys in these lineups.
I like it. All right. Lamar Jackson, PCL injury. I've said this every week. He has now been out for 1 full month of practice and games. Is it backup Huntley? And he has a
Huntley's
shoulder injury. He has been practicing limited. I don't think Lamar is going to play. They have clinched the playoffs. I don't know if they would save him for the playoffs, or I don't even know if he's going to be able to play. There hasn't been much info about his injury. Obviously, a PCL is pretty legit for a rushing quarterback.
I have to look into it. I don't know for sure, but I think if the Bengals lost on Monday, the Ravens still had a chance at winning the division. I'm not 100% sure on that.
They do have an incentive, but yeah, that might be it.
But they don't anymore because they just voided out the game. So that basically puts them a game and a half behind. Doesn't really matter. I mean, Huntley, if he's really that hurt, they might just go ahead and bench him, which means that my boy Anthony Brown finally get his chance to jump in there. BC Eagles, baby. But I think Huntley's probably going to play. Practicing limited. So I think he's going to play.
Yeah, he's trying to get his time to shine. Understandable. Antonio Gibson today, foot knee injury placed on IR. Brian Robinson, I believe he was limited today, or he was limited or held out. I'm not really sure, but he's going to play. He's going to be the guy there this week, but they're really playing for nothing. Justin Fields, hip injury. He is marked as out this week. So Justin Fields, he will not be playing. Did you have his backup, Ryan? Or we can talk about it later.
Oh, Justin Fields backup.
Yeah, is it
Nathan Peterman, baby. Nathan Peterman. The last time I remember watching Nathan Peterman, I think he threw like 6 picks in the first half of a game or something like that. Wasn't that?
Wow.
Didn't he break the record for the most picks in one half? I think so. I think that was with the Buffalo Bills. But I'm not
on
sure.
that note, I'll get to some good news. Like you said, you hinted earlier, Jalen Hurts shoulder limited this week. He could be available to play. Like you said, they kind of, if they win, they're in. Gardner Minshew kind of had a shit game last week. So just saying they might play him. But to what extent, I don't know. Derrick Henry, another one. What's up?
To go back on my Nathan Peterman stat, in 2018 for the Buffalo Bills, he started 2 games. He had 1 touchdown and 7 picks.
Hey, he had 1 touchdown.
How is he still in the league?
I don't know. He's a really good mentor, apparently.
Career 3 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and he's still in the league. He's been in the league for 5 years.
Yeah, Justin Fields doesn't have a lot of picks. He's probably just telling them, "Don't copy me," and he's just there as like a what not to do. And
I'm Cam Newton. I'm like, this is the guy I'm pointing at when I'm like, why am I not in the league right now?
Look a brother up.
Doesn't make any sense.
Oh man, pay my mortgage. I don't care. There you go. All right. So like I just said, Jalen Hurts could be available. Derrick Henry moved from the injury list. It sounds like he's a go. Probably
he's
looking
going,
to
man.
Yeah, downhill usually. Pretty aggressive.
Tee him up.
Devo's,
there's a lot on the line.
I like it. Deebo Samuel, knee, ankle injury, full participant at practice. They could ease him in. He could be also, depending on how he is looking, could be another reason why you sit CMC a little bit more. Don't really know. I would not bank DFS on him at all, but it's just like they do want to win.
Here's the thing about CMC. I think I'm kind of like changing course on this a little bit, but he's been questionable for like 4 or 5 weeks. I've had him in multiple lineups. He's been injured. He's been banged up. He's been questionable. He's been playing through it. He's been getting a ton of work. He's been getting more work over the stretch than he has basically for the, any other stretch during the season. So it really hasn't bothered him whatsoever. I think they'll probably play him, but don't be surprised if it's like a Charger situation from last week where they have, a 20-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and now you don't see any CMC anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You don't see Deebo anymore if that's the case. Those guys are going to sit if they end up, stretching out the lead a little bit.
Yeah, San Fran has Arizona. Arizona's got nobody playing for them. This is
absolutely
one-sided.
David Blah.
That's what that game
is starting. That's
what their offense is going to look like. Blah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then the last one, Tony Pollard, he's a full participant at practice. This one obviously hurt you guys. So did the Derrick Henry. Them being out, for those playoffs, that was rough. So they will be back. Dallas does have something to play for going forward, and they are playing Washington this week, who does not have anything to play for. So we'll see how that goes.
Dallas has, I think, some seeding that they can play for. There's like some weird way that I think they can still win the NFC East, and they can still get the number 1 seed, but that would require, I think, Minnesota losing, San Fran losing, and Philly losing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Eagles.
But I still think they can win the division, though. They must. They still have the chance for number 1.
Right. All right. That clears that up. Hurt Locker is shut. Do keep an eye on this, and leading up to the games, be sure to keep an eye out because there are going to be some teams that just announce that they're not going to be playing starters, or somebody's just sitting just because it's just what happens week 18. So don't be surprised if somebody's just absolutely not there. So let's get into a little sexy flexy DFS edition. You down, Ryan?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, game time. Alrighty. So DFS edition on this sexy flexi, we're really just going to name some guys. Me and Ryan actually made some a DFS lineup. I don't know if you want me to throw that up there now, Ryan, or we can do it in a second. But there, I just noted some teams that have been eliminated, which ones are in contention, which ones clinch, which ones have clinched but can't have no incentive. The no incentive ones are the Bucks, the Chargers, and Giants. They're locked in. There's no moving. They're clinched with incentives. We talked about a little bit: Buffalo, San Fran, Minnesota, Dallas, Cincy, Kansas City, Buffalo, Philly. And we know pretty much the rest. Eliminated, there's a buttload. Obviously, Houston.
These are the teams that you want to keep an eye on this week, specifically. When you're playing DFS this week, or if you have a Week 18 championship, like you really don't want a lot of players from a lot of stock and the guys from the teams that are eliminated. You really, really don't. You have no idea what they're going to do, how they're going to approach it, or the teams that have no incentives. You have no idea.
Right.
It's a little worrisome.
Yeah, so I guess I should read the ones that are in contention. I guess they can't move up, though. So these are in contention to play in the playoffs: Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Seattle, New England, Miami, Jacksonville. These are the ones that I like. That's that sweet spot where you're going to have somebody just trying to do work. Another thing I want to just mention is always look for incentives for players. There's some players out there that who was it? I think it's Patrick Mahomes. Like if he throws for 400 and something yards, he gets $1 million added to his deal. There's a couple of them. Zay Jones, like if he gets 90 yards, I think he gets $500,000. So look at those incentive players because there's a chance that quarterback just tries to feed that guy. Those are always little sneaky DFS plays.
If Justin Jefferson gets 200 yards, he's the all-time single season leader in receiving yards.
Oh my God. Well, that's not going to happen.
The 12-yard performance from last week did not help with that.
No, that's rough. All right, so I'm going to show our DFS lineups right now, Ryan. And you can obviously see, guys, mine got a little cut off. I'm just going to tell you that my first two picks, Kirk Cousins at QB, Travis Etienne at running back. Minnesota is one of those ones that kind of have the incentive to, play for something, but it's really not much. That's all. I'm a little skeptical on Kirk Cousins, but I feel like he's just going to throw it around. They're not going to run the ball with Cook much. Travis Etienne, that team is in contention for the playoffs, so they are going to be playing hard. You got Cam Akers as well, Ryan. I think that's a great player. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say Cam Akers over the last few weeks has been getting a ton of work. So you're looking at week 17, 19 carries, 123 yards. That was last week against the Chargers. 23 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Denver. That was week 16. He's had no less than 12 over the last 5 weeks, and this is a favorable matchup. Seattle is not good against the run. They are competing for a playoff spot, but at the same time, that's not going to make their defensive linemen any better. So this is going to be their strategy. The Rams are going to run the ball. Baker's going to throw the ball 25 times. Akers going to run the ball 18 to 20 times. And I think he's a go, man. $6,200, not that much for a running back with pretty high touchdown upside, pretty high upside for a 90 to 100-yard game. So I'm Cam Akers. Fire him up.
I love it. Me talking myself about Kirk Cousins, I was like, I kind of want to switch him now. So you might, change my mind on something. I'll just keep running. I just want to get the ones that we might have the same. Christian Watson, I think, is a great call. I have him as well. And it's really just, if they're in playoff contention, they can make it into the playoffs. They are playing, who are they playing? Detroit, the 32nd versus the pass, or 30th or something like that. And he got 5-6 targets last week, and they were all bomb routes, and they just couldn't connect. It was honestly pathetic. But 5 targets, only 1 reception for 11 yards. But Rodgers was really just trying to force feed him that boom play, and I feel like that could really happen versus a secondary like Detroit.
He's going for him, man. He's going for Watson. He's got 19 targets in the last 3 games, and he hasn't had any real boom games over that time. But if you've watched those games, he's been damn close to either breaking a big catch, being targeted deep like you're talking about, or screens at the 2-yard line, trying to get him into the end zone. They're trying to get the man into the end zone. They're trying to throw the ball deep to him. They're going to connect eventually. And if they're going to connect against Detroit, is going to be the week that it happens. In a must-win situation, they're not going to be running the ball a ton. Detroit's pretty good against the run. Especially over the last 6-7 weeks, they're going to be airing it out. And Christian Watson, get some Packers. Allen Lazard's probably going to have a big week. He's probably pretty good value with DFS. Romeo Doubs, toss him in there, see what happens. He could have a big game, but Christian Watson, I think, is a sure thing. 5,600 is not bad either.
I love that. Another one we have similar was Zay Jones at 5,000. And like I said, he was a guy that needs 90 yards to get $500,000, which is amazing. I believe his counterpart, Christian Kirk, also needs that. Looks like you already got Trevor Lawrence, so you're already stacked up with that matchup. Baby. So that's looking pretty good. How you feel about that?
If I'm throwing one player into all my DFS lineups this weekend, it's Trevor Lawrence. You said Detroit was 32nd. I think they're actually 29th according to DFS.
Oh yeah.
Tennessee is 32nd. Tennessee is bad against the pass. They're bad against the pass, and they're they're pretty solid against the run. It's another Detroit Lions situation. You want players in those 2 games. Those are the 2 games that have the most playoff implications. Those teams are trying to fight for the division, are trying to fight for a playoff spot. Winner take all, winners in, losers out. Those are the games you want. And in games that are going to be just on offenses that are going to be airing it out. That's what you need this week.
I love it, man. I'll just read a couple other ones that I have just in general. Jacksonville, I think that defense is going to go run over Tennessee. It's literally Derrick Henry, all they have to stop, which is actually pretty difficult, but either way. Tyler Boyd. So this is a one, and I don't hate to take advantage of the situation, but I just feel like their offense is going to be a little like lost, especially T. Higgins, about to sit, his scenario. And, in general, I think Boyd is going to be one of those guys that kind of just gets a little bit more work. And he, I've been seeing him get a couple touchdowns, couple red zone targets of late. And I feel like just with the situation, he's going to take advantage of it.
I like that. Tyler Boyd's a good boomer bust play, man. I'm all about Tyler Boyd and DFS. I'm not about Tyler Boyd in redraft. He kills me. Every time I put him in my lineup, he gets 2 points. Every time I take him out of my lineup, he gets 28 points. Can't do it with Tyler Boyd, but I think he's a great DFS play, especially this week.
I hear you. And then you were saying Baker Mayfield's going to have 25 passes, and hoping they're all to Tyler Higbee. So that's why I got him in my lineup with 4,400, and it's been pretty good. It's past couple games, 4 targets, 11 targets, 5 targets. He's got 3 touchdowns in the past 3 weeks with Baker. Not too shabby for Seattle and their okay defense. And the last one is Devonta Smith. If they're really going to be trying to play for something, AJ Brown's way too much money. I'm fine with taking Smith. He's been averaging like 20 points a game in the past couple of weeks. It's been insane, and I'm fine with throwing him out there.
I want to go back to Trevor Lawrence for a second. His last matchup against Tennessee, 368 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Zay Jones was targeted 10 times.
10 times.
That's what you got to expect. I mean, unless it's a blowout because the Titans are starting. Oh my God, what's his name?
Oh,
University of Tennessee, Josh Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Look it up, Dobbs.
Yep.
But I played okay. So as long as Tennessee could do what they did last week with Dallas and keep the game relatively close, the Jaguars are going to be forced to pass the ball. That's going to be the big thing. So you just need Henry to go off. You need Dobbs to do all right. You need that team to keep the game close, and the Jaguars are just air it out.
Love it. All right, Ryan, since you're on your team, just finish it off. A couple players that we haven't talked about yet. What do you got on here?
Sure. I think Zach Moss is good value this week, $5,200. I don't. Sam Ehlinger's playing. It's against the Texans. This is like the perfect DFS play because I have no idea what the hell is going to happen with this game. Both teams are desperately trying to lose. Both teams have like if the Texans lose, they lock in the number 1 pick. If the Colts lose, they go from I think like 5 to either 4 or 3 or something like that in the draft. So there is incentive to lose for both of these teams. But Zach Moss, obviously JT's on the IR. Moss has had 51 carries in over the last 3 games. So he's averaging about 16, a little over 16 carries a game. Hasn't gotten to the end zone yet. I think he could against this Houston defense. So I'm going to fire up Zach Moss, see what happens. Tyler Lockett. I mean, the dude before his injury was absolutely on fire. He was scoring a touchdown week in, week out. It was like just super reliable. Last week, first week coming back with the finger. I think this week in a decent matchup, he's going to have a big game. And for the price that he's at right now, I think he's a great play. Amari Cooper, great game last week. Divisional matchup. Pittsburgh's playing for something. They're still alive. It's a big rivalry. Cleveland's out, but they're not benching anybody. So Watson's playing. They still want him to get his reps. Amari's going to play. I'm good with starting Amari. You're going to have to play somebody from teams who, don't have anything to play for. And I think he's an okay play for that. George Kittle against Arizona. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Reese.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to, give you a break, but I just found that whole Cleveland situation, how they were like definitely a playoff contender and now they're out with Watson is just comical, the whole situation.
I mean, what else did you expect? The guys have played football 3 years. You just gonna pop him in there and he's going to go back to throwing for 300 plus yards a game and 3 or 4 touchdowns. Yeah, you see that week 4 or 5 of next year. Give him a whole off season, get him back into it. I'm excited for the future of that team. I hate Deshaun; he's a douchebag, but that team is like you get a Deshaun, who's back on track. You got a Nick Chubb, who's fresh at the beginning of the season next year. Amari Cooper, DPJ showing flashes, Njoku, all those guys. It's going to be a good offense.
I love it.
So,
and you got the Packers.
And then what's that?
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
I was going to say George Kittle against Arizona. Arizona's terrible against tight ends. If you can get him into your lineup, do it every time. I was like trying to finagle my lineup around just so I could figure out a way to get George Kittle into my lineup and not use all my money, my whole budget. And then the Packers defense. Jared Goff on the road. It's a cheap play. It could really backfire. Lions offense is pretty explosive. You know that. Mm-hmm. But Jared Goff has had some bad games on the road. Weather across the league seems to be pretty good across the board. The only game that's going to be real cold, possible chance of a light flurry, is Green Bay. So let's throw them in there, see what happens.
Love that. Alrighty.
Oh, so you're going Jags on D. You got to be thinking like you got to be going for the Dobbs thing, right?
Oh, how did I do this to you?
What happened?
My bad, dude.
So
I just feel like I'm better than you, and I'm going to win this matchup.
That's it. It's like, oh man. But yeah, you went Jags D. You think tennis? You just don't see the Tennessee offense doing much against them.
I feel like the team's going to pack it in, and not. It's just going to be Derrick Henry show, and I think whatever his name is, Dobbs. It's just going to be game management, and try not to turn it over too many times, and that's really what it's going to be. He did play pretty well last week. He did, especially that first half. I was quite impressed, and then it kind of slipped away a little.
Yeah, sure, as expected. I mean, that was a good Dallas defense. The fact that they stayed in the game that long was a surprise in and of itself. But
agreed.
Yeah, like I said, they just got to keep it close. If they can put up like 17 points and just keep that game within reach, it's a good game. It should be exciting.
All right. So right now, we talked about a bunch of guys. We can bring up some DFS scoring if you want, but is there anybody of relevance we can talk about? And somebody, some other guys these guys can grab?
As far as this week you mean for DFS?
Yeah, just in general. We just made our lineups, and those kind of the guys that we're really leaning to. As you can see, we have some of the same guys, so that's kind of what we're going for. We have already eliminated. I'll read them off. The eliminated playoff teams that are not making the playoff: Houston, Cleveland, Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago, Denver, Indy, Rams, New Orleans, Jets, Carolina, Washington, and the Raiders. That's so many teams that are, I don't feel comfortable playing really anyone unless I get for certain they are going to be playing the whole game, and I don't think you will get that. Ed did put some of the Rams players in. I'm kind of fine with that team just because I feel like Baker's just gonna play. He's gonna be Baker. No one's sitting there. That team's got too much pride.
Yeah, you go the running back and the tight end, the higher volume plays. Christian Kirk was a name, 6,200. You had said he's got some incentive as far as going over some yardage, and we go back to that same matchup. DK Metcalf, $6,700.
I saw that one.
Probably a good play, pretty good value.
I know he's got. He's gonna have what's his name. They're going against the Rams. Oh my god, I'm zoning out at the corner. Ramsey. Yeah, so that matchup is pretty tough for him. I think they played a few weeks ago, and it wasn't the best. He ended up getting a touchdown later on somebody else, so we kind of salvaged. But wait, actually, I got it right here. He had 127 yards and a score. Okay,
all right.
DK Metcalf versus the Rams. So hey, good play then, I guess. Ramsey probably wasn't following him, and that's probably going to be the same scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if he chewed up the Rams in the last matchup, and he's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, he's a hell of a play. I got guys like Jacoby Myers against Buffalo.
Yeah,
if he plays, probably pretty good.
Myers.
Deontay Johnson's another good one against the Browns. Garrett Wilson against the Dolphins intrigued me a bit. I think he gets back on track. Anybody else you're thinking of?
Well, so the one I keep hearing from, I listen to a couple other podcasts. I've done a little bit of research in general, and Shaheed for the Saints had 7 catches last week. The running back for the Saints, and I'm sorry, wide receiver for the Saints, and 79 yards last week, and just looking pretty good. And it looks like they're, the team's just shot, and I feel like I only bring this up because everyone else is, and I hate to miss out on one of these boom plays. And I feel like if you're just throwing out a couple lineups and you just want to throw out one of those boom or bust plays, I think this guy, he's, versus the Panthers this week, you could definitely see a nice little game from him. I'm trying to think there was a tight end. I don't know if it was Dawson Knox or somebody else, but they had some incentive. I'm just going to look that up real quick.
Sure. Another player that I'm looking at this week is going to be Hodgins for the Giants. Heavily targeted. I had mentioned that he was one of my starts from last week. I'm just looking up his stats real quick from last week. He had 5 targets for 4 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown. Touchdown in each of the last 2 games. 17 targets combined over the last 2 games. So Hodgins is a good DFS play. 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
Not too shabby. So I found the tight end one I was thinking of. Gerald Everett needs 60 receptions. So he has 55 receptions. He has 5 more receptions. Gets a nice wafty bonus of $250,000. Gerald Everett.
Ooh. That's a good one too, because they have nothing to play for.
Right.
So if Everett's like, hey, get me on the field and throw me the ball, who cares? Like, I just want to make some more money. Like, Staley might say, okay, yeah, I think we could do that for you.
I could easily see 5 for 50 or whatever, 10 points, easy. And then a chance for a boom in the red zone or something like that. And you already mentioned Justin Jefferson single season. I mentioned the Patrick Mahomes single season passing record. I think it's 430 passing yards. I do not think that's going to happen. But never say never. He's playing Vegas. So
yep.
That's definitely a possibility if you ask me.
Oh man, it's going to be an interesting week. Now I'm sitting here and I'm like, is Justin Herbert even playing this week? I don't know. Is it Chase Daniel? Austin Eckler? What's going on with Austin Eckler this week? That team doesn't have anything to play for, and they're on the road at Denver. It's like, is this a game Denver can steal? I don't know. Only matters if you're in like a pick'em pool.
Just running through this, Aaron. Is this year? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers can get another $100,000 just by playing in this game, and it's something stupid.
Oh, he's got it. You got it.
Yeah, I think he's got to like play in the game and have like a certain passer rating or something like that.
It's like chump change for him. He's like, yeah.
That's a good point. I guess that's a great point for the takers, and just don't read too much into some of this stuff. But like the Gerald Everett one, like it makes sense to like, hey, take a shot on the guy. Rob Gronkowski did this a couple years ago. He needed a couple more catches, and Tom Brady just peppered him with like 7-8 targets in the first quarter, and he was golden.
Yeah. If you're making $8 million a year, $500,000 is not chump change. That's a good chunk of your salary.
Oh my God.
If you're making Rodgers money, what's he making? Like 33 mil, 35 mil, maybe even more than that. Keep your eye out. Like I said, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but the Chargers last week, big lead going to the third quarter or fourth quarter. Eckler's on the bench, Williams on the bench, Chase Daniels in the game halfway through the fourth. Like, I don't know if they're going to just do that this week. Reeks, do you want to get into some of these game predictions? Because I think I might need your help. I got some money on the line.
Let's do work, son. And this will help you guys out to kind of like, we'll talk about who's really going to play and stuff like that. So I got them right here, Ryan. First one, Kansas City versus the Raiders. This is in Vegas. Kansas City does have incentive to move up. This whole Buffalo Bills thing, they have to win. I just read Juju Smith-Schuster. He needs 2 yards for a a bonus of, oh my God, it was something like $500,000 for he needs 2 yards. I was like, dude, if he does not get that, he's gonna be rip shitty throwing bicycles at people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think you got to go Chiefs. They got something to play for.
Definitely.
They're going to win the game. We didn't talk about this though. We did a little bit. Josh Jacobs, if he doesn't play, which I don't think he's going to play, I don't see why he would. Brandon Bolden is next in line. They might want to see some Zamir White. Amir Abdullah is still there. Maybe he's in a passing down, split back. There's too many guys to make a decision on who's going to be the one person. And like I said, they might want to see what they have from Zamir White. So I'm not playing any of those guys. If I have a week 18 championship, I'd rather pivot to somebody else. I'd rather pivot to Josh Kelly. I think he might have more of a workload with the Chargers this week, and Eckler might see a little bit less.
I love that Kelly. That Kelly pick is actually a really good one. All right, so Kansas City for that one. Next one's Tennessee at Jacksonville. I think you got to pick Jacksonville. They have something to play for. We already talked about their players' incentives, and you love Trevor Lawrence. So
yeah, they both. I mean, and the good thing is they both have something to play for. It's just one has Trevor Lawrence, one has Josh Dobbs, and Jacksonville's hot, man. They're playing real well.
I like it. Next one, Ravens at Cincinnati. Cincinnati obviously is going to be a little emotional game, needless to say. So I'm gonna go Cincy. You have to, and yes. They both teams though have incentives to move up in the rankings. In a lot of these games, so these are all Sunday. I'm trying to think, are there any Saturday games?
There are 2, Chiefs and Raiders.
Oh, that was the first 2. Okay.
Yep, and the Jaguars Titans.
All right, so I just wanted to see in general. We can look into it a little bit more, but what teams really need to. It's so convoluted this year, and we don't really know what the state is with the Cincy and Buffalo game. So we can't really tell you exactly who can move up because of what, because no one knows at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But needless to say, we'll go Cincy. Next game, Carolina Panthers at New Orleans. Neither team has anything to play for. That's rough. I think
I'm going Carolina.
Are you?
Yeah, I mean they're still going to play. I think
Darnold.
I don't want to look too much into, because there are still guys playing for contracts. Like you said, there's still guys who are playing for things. Sam Darnold's still auditioning. Like that dude wants a job. He wants to stay relevant in the league. He still wants another starting opportunity.
Yep.
Like he's going to play. Dante Foreman's going to play. Saints are going to load up Andy Dalton. I don't see a difference with those 2 teams, to be honest. But I'm going Carolina. They've been playing well. I'm Carolina.
Oof.
The Red Rocket. Can't trust them.
Yeah. All right. I have to go Saints. Next
all
one.
Right.
Browns, Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is already they're in contentions for a playoff berth. Browns are already out. I obviously lean the Steelers, but you did mention earlier that this is, it's a rivalry game. Browns are still playing everyone, so it's going to be pretty tough.
They can ruin it. They can play spoiler, and I think they do. I'm going Browns in this matchup.
Yeah, I think I might lean the Browns. Oh man, it just kind of I feel like they're a more well-rounded team, considering, even though their quarterback's pretty still fresh to the team, but still.
Yep.
And
I think it would be interesting if the Steelers lost, because that would be the first season under 500 under Mike Tomlin.
Oh my God, he won't let that happen. Go Pittsburgh.
What do you got here? Texans, Colts.
Wow, dude.
Oh,
this
is the toughest game of the week. This is the toughest game of the week. Ellinger. I don't know.
Dude, that's gross. I go Houston.
I picked Houston, but they got to lose to get the 1 pick.
Oh, do
the
they?
Jets made this mistake. The Jets made this mistake a couple years ago when they could have got Trevor Lawrence and they won the last game of the season and they slid into number 2 and they went from Trevor Lawrence to Zach Wilson. And how's that working for them?
I'm glad you said that. You got to go Colts then, because there's no way they do that to themselves. They're in their past, they made some of the worst decisions, ever. DeAndre Hopkins gone, So
yeah, that's the only thing I think. I want to pick them. If it was like week 9, I would pick them, but I gotta go Colts. I think just based off that information.
Vikings, Bears, Chicago. Chicago's out. Vikings are in. This should be a pretty easy game, I would think.
We don't even have to talk about. You got Nathan Peterman on a Bears team that has nothing to play for.
How many picks?
Vikings team that could get the 1 seed if the chips fall right. So Vikings for me.
How many picks they get?
How many picks? Over under Peterman?
Over
under's got to be 2, 3. If it's over under 3, I still probably go under because they might just like run the shit out of the ball. David Montgomery.
Yeah,
David Montgomery. There's a good DFS play.
Yeah, because the Vikings defense sucks, but at the same time, why can't they just stack this box? Because they're just going to get picks anyways.
They could. Why can't the Bears just air it out with Peterman? What do they have to lose?
Yeah,
to stack the box. I would be like, Peterman, go for it. Throw 12 picks. Who cares? Like,
we're dropping you anyways.
Chuck it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Yeah. Either way, Vikings. This is going to be a rough game in general. This is in Buffalo. So Pats versus Buffalo in Buffalo. This is
gonna be deja vu from last year's playoff game in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing as well. I'm not gonna be able to wear this shirt on Monday.
So I gotta go Buffalo there.
You have to. There's no doubt about it. We'll skip that one. We could talk about that one forever. Jets, Miami. Miami has something to play for. Jets, obviously, part of the division, could be the spoiler. Mike White at quarterback, and they still have everyone for the most part. Their defense is great. I believe one of their linemen needs like 4 sacks, whatever, or 3 sacks to get a substantial amount of money. So I can picture them going after the quarterback. I believe Tua is still in concussion protocol. Teddy Bridgewater broke his finger. I don't remember who the quarterback was.
Skylar Thompson. I don't know what to do with this matchup, to be honest, man. Mike White is auditioning for some kind of opportunity next year to be a starter. Skylar Thompson, obviously you haven't seen him win a game.
Yeah.
You just don't know if he can win a game. Mike White's won a few games as a starter. That's just a fact. And bad week last week. Shit, I'm kind of talking myself out of this pick here.
Well, who'd you pick?
I think I'm going to go Jets. I mean, they have a damn good defense. Skylar Thompson's trying to get the ball to Tyreek Hill, but that's one of the best secondaries in football. So if anybody's shutting down Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, it's going to be the Jets.
Yeah, I got the Jets.
I go Jets.
All righty. Yeah. A couple more. Buccaneers at Atlanta. Atlanta is absolutely out. There has been word that the Buccaneers, all their starters are playing, but I believe they're bringing up, I forget the backup quarterback. So they're going to have 3 quarterbacks brought up for this game. So that leads me to believe that Tom Brady will not be playing the whole game, but we know he does not sit a game in general. So he'll be, I think, benched early.
Yeah, I think he'll go out. He'll try to get them a lead, get benched. Blaine Gabbert's going to probably end up in there at some point. Shit, what do you do? This is what I mean. What do you do?
Oh yeah, because it doesn't matter.
I still think Bucks win, to be honest with you.
I think you have to lean that way just because I don't think Tom Brady wants to have a negative record, Yeah,
even if they bench Fournette, even if some of these guys come out, it's they still have talent there. Rashad White's, a solid running back. Blaine Gabbert, again, another guy who was a decent backup. He's won some games in his NFL career, and I think they have enough talent to pull it off.
They pitch this being the Keyshawn Vaughn game.
Yeah,
I think they're going to take out both running backs and for the second half, and it's just going to be him the whole time.
It's possible. I mean, shit. Desmond Ritter's got to win, and he's been playing better.
Yeah,
Drake London's been playing pretty well. Tyler Allgeier's been playing well.
He has. Versus the Bucks.
I'm going Bucks.
Yeah, you got to. This game, I think it's a no-brainer. Arizona, San Fran. You're picking San Fran.
San Fran, yep.
Easy. Next one, Dallas and Washington. They're playing
Dallas.
Howell. Yeah, so you're playing Dallas.
Oh, that was the thing I want to talk about. Terry McLaurin, don't play him. Jahan Dotson, don't play him. If you're in Week 18 championships, don't play any of these wide receivers from the Commanders. Sam Howell is, I don't know if I would say run first, but he runs the ball a hell of a lot. It's his first NFL start. He's going to be safe with the ball. He's going to do a lot with his feet. Don't do it.
A lot of slides, a lot of running out of bounds.
What you saw from Trace McSorley from the Cardinals a couple weeks ago is probably, you might see a step up from that with Sam Howell. That's what I'm anticipating.
All right, I like the reference. Chargers, Broncos. Broncos are out. Chargers can't move. They are locked in at 10-6. Denver's D's pretty good. I gotta go Denver.
I think I gotta go Denver. I mean, Chargers, like, you don't want to mess with Mike Williams. You don't want to mess with Austin Eckler.
No.
You don't want to mess with Keenan Allen. He was hurt for a lot of the season. Josh Palmer is probably a good DFS play.
Josh Palmer, Carter.
Yep, and Gerald Everett.
And Gerald Everett. We like Gerald Everett.
Yeah, I'd queue up those guys. I might throw Josh Palmer into a DFS lineup this weekend. I gotta go Denver. I'm changing that.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Oof, we'll skip it before you change your mind. Rams, Seattle. I got Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, they gotta win. And the Rams are lackluster at best.
Mm-hmm.
Giants, Eagles. Giants cannot move. Eagles can move. And they have the 425 game, so they'll know what the rest of the league has done. So if you're one of those pick'em leagues that they lock, this kind of sucks because there's a chance Philly might not have to play anybody. There's a chance that they might have to play everyone.
Probably play Giants. I mean, here's the thing about these teams. I think they play their players for, it's like a preseason game, essentially. Playing for a little bit, try to keep them fresh, try to keep some momentum going. And I gotta go. I mean, I'm going Eagles either way. They gotta win.
At home.
They have to win to get the 1 seed.
Yep. All right, last game that we have here. Lions at Green Bay.
Green Bay's too hot. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game.
Detroit and Green Bay are in contention to get in. They both need to win.
Green Bay's too hot. And they're at home. They're going to win.
Yep, I agree. And you said a possibility of, not that it matters, but a little snow. Aaron Jones was marked as questionable. AJ Dillon could be a really good play. But you have to really look into that backfield and see what it is going into the game. I don't trust any questionables at this point in time. The only notes that I read earlier in the Hurt Locker were significant, like the coaches came out and said something's up with this guy or whatever. You can never look at just like ESPN, my fantasy lineup, and be like, oh, he's questionable. I wonder what that is. But maybe there all day.
That's true. And I think it's going to be like light flurries, if anything. So it's not going to have an effect on the game. It's just going to be cold, which doesn't really have an effect on the game. So I don't know how much weather is going to really affect it, which is good because you want the shootout. I just think Jared Goff kind of sucks on the road sometimes, and
that's true. He does. He does a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Look what the Packers just did to Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I mean,
oh god, that was sad. That was. I know a lot of people that lost because of him.
Yeah.
But either way, so that clears up, the game predictions. We gave you guys a bit of DFS analysis in general. We gave you guys our lineups. I think we'll probably do a little bit more. I think I might post a couple more that I come up with. And like I said, keep an eye on this incentives. I know I kind of hammered it, but it's some of them actually mean something. Some of them really don't. We talked about some that really do. So keep that in mind. You ready to jump into the leftovers, Ryan? You got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. So good luck to everyone. Week 18 championships. I hope you don't have one because it is going to be rough, and you're going to be picking players from left and right. We gave you the game predictions. Good luck with there if you're in some pick'em leagues. I know, Ryan, you're really hoping to move up in those rankings.
So close to the money, man. I'm so close. I just got to get up there.
Yeah, I was out a little while ago. I won last year, but that doesn't mean anything this year.
I'm in 5th. I'm behind. There's a tie for 3rd, and I'm one game, and the money's top 4.
Oh,
it used to be top 5. It's top 4. I'm like, fuck.
That's rough.
So we'll see.
Oh, that happened to me 2 years ago. I was like 5th or whatever, and what's the name was like, oh, I owe you money. I was like, but I haven't even paid yet. He's like, yeah, well, you get that and then some. And I was like, oh, awesome.
Not bad.
Oh man.
All right, man.
Yeah. Oh, I did play the outro. All right. Any leftovers at all? We good, Mac? I hope you're having fun on the beach. Yeah, jerk.
Yep, probably in a hot tub right now, sipping Mai Tai.
Oh, he always has the craziest drinks. The biggest, like, lumberjack-looking dude, and dude, pinky's out all the time when he's drinking. You have no
absolutely,
idea.
Like blue curacao and.
Oh yeah,
dude has the fruitiest drinks. Actually, here's what he's actually doing. He's laying on a I don't know, a beach bed. What do you call those?
Oh yeah, the bedside.
Whatever. Bedside. He's sitting bedside. He's got his drink, and his wife's like layering aloe, layers and layers of aloe on top.
Aggressively.
That's what's happening. Aggressively. It's the only way.
It's a liter of aloe. Oh man, well, good luck everybody, and good luck with DFS. That's what we got right now. And look, and I think Mac wants to do some playoff challenges, so we'll throw that out there. Maybe we can get you guys in some leagues. So send your questions to us, and good luck.
Have a good night.